All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. The State of the Nation conversation begins right now. My guests are with me in studio. Dr. Ekuru Aukot is a party leader, Third Way Alliance. Thank you for making time. Honorable Eddie Oketch is a senator from Migori. Thank you for making time. We're still waiting for Honorable Ayub Savula, the Kakamega Deputy Governor. As soon as he comes in, we'll drop him into the discussion. But let's take a look at the dailies, and not so much on specifically on the issue of politics, but when you take a look at the front page of the Daily Nation, you can see that tag, "Great to see you," President with his predecessor's brother at State House. President William Ruto shares a light moment with the chair of the African region and the trustee of the Duke of Edinburgh International Award Foundation, Muhoho Kenyatta, during the Gold Award presentation at State House, Nairobi yesterday. President Ruto said that the government is proud of the 1,252 young people awarded the Golden Prize. Now, Ekuru, there's a lot of people are reading a lot into this picture right here. But the more concern is about the coalitions being talked about. ODM says that they're going to build a coalition with UDA. What should these coalitions focus on at this particular moment? And do you read anything into this picture between Muhoho and Ruto?
Yeah.
Is this just...
So I'm not surprised that, political coalitions in Kenya are fraudulent ventures.
Fraudulent ventures.
They are very fraudulent, and is actually affirms a political cartel that wants to survive at the expense of Kenyans. So that what these political cartels have done over the years, and it's not just this particular, so I'm not surprised even when the Kenyattas reunite with William Ruto. They've been part and parcel of the governments for many, many years. So for them, it's more about their own survival, self-preservation of what, for example, they have accumulated over the years, especially the protection of their wealth that sometimes cannot be explained, how people acquired. When you tell me, when you speak of, say, Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, or Bill Gates, that these people have invented something and therefore they are rich because of those inventions. But in Kenya, people who have been in political circles for the longest time, especially in government, have become rich and billionaires over a very short of time. So they will need the system of the day. They will pretend that they are in different political anglings, but at the end of the day, they will still go back to the government of the day to protect. And therefore, it's a partnership, it's a conmanship. Political conmanship of Kenyans. So even when you hear now people in ODM saying that they may form a coalition with UDA, yet they are ferociously opposed to each other to the extent of even insulting each other publicly. It's about political survival. It's not like maybe we some people who practice our professional trainings, that today, whether I'm in politics or not, I can still go back to my office. I can and actually make a living based on my professional training. A lot of folks in the political circles cannot actually do that. If they go to their offices, it's about making deals. But making those deals requires them to be closer to the government of the day. And that's why the government of the day also needs them, because even people in government, actually, the very top echelons of this country, even they cannot explain, for example, the amount of wealth that they have amassed over the years. So it's political survival, and at the end of the day, it's actually the people of Kenya who suffer because they do not get the proper representation, both from government and from the leadership.
Yeah, it is this just about political survival, and I don't want to read so much into the front page of the Daily Nation because we are not sure that there are talks that he was there as a trustee of the Duke of Edinburgh International Award Foundation, not so much as a coalition being built there. But despite that, it's a season of political coalitions now. UDA and ODM are now having conversations. Ekuru says it's just political survival and political cartels trying to form pacts at the expense of Kenyans. Is that what is going on right now?
First of all, good morning, Trevor.
Good morning.
And good morning to our viewers. I always appreciate the gift of life this morning. That is, I don't take it for granted that some of our viewers can be able to come and pay attention to what we are discussing here, because they're important issues. On Muhoho, I took it on face value. I'm not I'm not a pundit as much to read into what is not there, because I think that it was clearly stated that is in the trustee of this award. Is a trustee of this award, but most importantly, it is very difficult for key figures in the country sometimes to meet certain people without people reading too much into it. I didn't, because if he's a trustee of the award, then it goes without saying that he had to honor being there. So I didn't read much into this. But be it as it may, I think that the politics of coalition in our country, I wouldn't simplify the conversation into, any coalition is just about people who want to politically survive, or want people want to take advantage of Kenyans, because by nature we are a very diverse community, and also very vast community. And in that diversity, there's a lot of complexities. Politics is so complex that I got into it early and younger, and I'm one of those people who are confident that if I were to leave politics today, I would be even better off in a number of ways. Number one, I would still be able to do my job. Politics, in fact, for me, is a calling. It's a place where I feel like it's the ultimate scale of development. When I was in the private sector, and Kuru knows, I worked with him in a number of projects in the private sector. When I was doing a tech company, I worked with the Kuru. When I was doing a business development company for young people in this country, I worked with the Kuru very closely. And he knows very well that sometimes what I struggled with is that when you are in your own space as a person in the private sector trying to do a few things here and there, you are barely, moving an needle. So think about, for instance, Equity Bank, which also I worked with. I worked in Equity Bank, and when we're doing something like, Wings to Fly, or even training young people to get to access to universities, at any given time you're doing thousands of people in terms of the impact you're having when you are one of the biggest performing banks in the country. Yeah. Unlike government, where one single policy, one good policy by a sober mind, can have a serious ripple effect. A good example is always quoted of the Kibaki policy on free education, which is what created the Gen Zs of today. You can imagine that one good policy of making sure that you can be able to access education made this country change in a way that we've never seen before, bringing with all this Gen Z stuff. And therefore, we need more critical mass in terms of sober minds who can be in governance spaces. There are few who are really good people in government or governance spaces, but those few are trying their best to make a contribution. But the wish is that we could have more. So don't bastardize the entire political class and make it difficult for the country to see why it's important to have best talent in politics. And I always tell Ekuru that never see that everybody's in politics. They just paint them with the same brush. These people are bad. These people are just about their stomach and stuff. Why am I saying this? Go back to the coalition. The coalition that we have in this country, Trevor, is because of the nature of our ethnic diversity. This is the truth. Because we've time without number when you got into the elective politics. Before it used to be maybe an easier conversation. And the difficult conversation was about a dictatorship when we had the single party state. But when you go into a multi-party arrangement, the arithmetics that most people found themselves in is that they have to use ethnical configurations to be able to get political power. And as it is very difficult for certain ethnic groups to ever even find a voice in the mortgage market, where ethnic arrangement is what brings you back to winning an election. It's an unfortunate situation, but it's our reality as a people. I want to make that very clear, that I don't even praise for once ethnic configuration as a basis of our politics, but it is our reality. So much that it has got advantages and disadvantages. For instance, ODM party that perhaps Ekuru might criticize, it's actually the party that in the most recent years gave a lot of voice and a lot of platform to some of the most minority groups. So for instance, if you think about the 13 counties that formed the part of what I would call exclusion in session paper number 10 of 1965, when a certain cabal of people thought that there are some people who are so minority and they come from regions that are not economically viable, that they should not be put on the table of economic discussion, and then excluded those communities from development. ODM came and gave them a voice because of those kind of coalition building. So all we need to look at is the genuine element of those coalitions. Because truth be told, ODM has been in 4 elections. It's 4 serious elections since inception. It has been in election to 2007, 2013, 2017, and then 2022. In those 4 instances, majority of them, ODM has never gone on it alone. There's only one time that ODM went into an election alone, which was 2007. And 2007, even at that time, it was a coalition of minds, which is what I admired at that time, and I wish we could continue the coalition of minds more than coalition of ethnic groups. And that coalition of minds was what we call the then Pentagon. And if you look at the coalition of Pentagon, it was a phase of regions, right? And then after that, we had the NASA coalition, COD coalition, and then NASA coalition 2017, and then the Azimio coalition 2022. All of those coalitions were mostly ideologically formed, but also taking an advantage of the regional and the ethnic faces of our country. I wish that we could just sanitize them by making sure that they are agenda-based, people-focused, and ideologically based. You remember when I was in this show the other time, I said that there are some political parties that are so much tribal that it's so difficult to make coalition with them, because they're openly tribal. But for political parties that have got some ideological leaning that can be able to bring Kenya forward, there's nothing with coalition building.
Okay. Let me have a quick rejoinder, Trevor. Precisely for the reason that Eddie has given is why I will still repeat that coalitions is a fraud to Kenyans. Because even the idea that you want to coalesce with another party, which is regional based or ethnically owned, is because you want your own political survival in the highest office. Now, the idea that, and I appreciate the fact that I celebrate Kenya's diversity. I don't regret even for a single second that I'm a Turkana, but also a Kenyan. I think the problem that I have with the coalitions, the character and nature of our coalitions today, is that the people who are actually approaching the others for coalition is about how do they retain power, because they fail to actually serve the very purpose, the intention for which they were elected. Because why should you, for example, as a president or even as a minister, but even if you're to deconstruct, for example, the formation of government, even the appointment, you will see that it goes towards ethnicity, or the appointments are intended to appease that region or that community. And that's why you can see here today the narratives. Mrima, we need Kalonzo because of the Kamba vote. We need the ODM because of the Luo vote. So I think if you look at the totality of all that, it's actually about political survival, and it's about those people who have been in power. And the fundamental question for me is, why isn't government of the day serving the people of Kenya equitably? May not be equally, because equality is an ideal. We may not be able to achieve it, but equitably. So don't dangle the fact that if you support government, that's when you see. And the language, and Eddie knows this. The language is so bad that, we will bring you development. If we're in government, that's when we will bring you development. We will do roads for you. No, it should not be like that. If your government was elected based on a certain agenda, then you must serve the people of Kenya equitably without putting them in a state where they have to beg, or if you appoint one of them, that the entire community looks like they are now happy we are in government. Yet they don't all share the salaries or the benefits of that particular individual in government. I think that's why, for me, I still hold the view these coalitions are actually just a cartel, because people want to survive. Because I do not understand, for example, why ODM, that is priding itself as having been the opposition party in this country, the fathers of the opposition politics, brought devolution, why will they then coalesce with a government of the day which has got so many failures that I don't even think we can finish listing them in a show like this? So why wouldn't ODM, for example, just remain that opposition party that can actually check on government. Because that, for me, I think is the ideal. And Eddie is a very exposed man. Educated in some of the most Ivy schools.
Yeah.
So, and he knows how democracy works. But see, when now the opposition is compromised, and that's why we lack accountability, Trevor, in our governance. You can see that Parliament is actually now an extension of the executive. That's why they are not able to check on the government of the day, and because the government of the day is actually poaching those people. So, I mean, I'm not afraid to say here is that President William Ruto, having lost, for example, the trust of the mountain after the impeachment of Gachagua, now he's looking for regions that can actually help him for re-election in 2027. That's why you can see the campaign now has moved to 2027. How do I get re-elected? And that's why the coalition, from my view, if you want to be re-elected in 2027, but also tell us what have been the achievements that actually has made Kenyans happy based on your leadership. Okay. And so they are playing into the trap of political survival and saying that we are in broad-based government. I mean, I'm afraid to say it is all conmanship.
Okay. Eddie, what is the agenda of these coalitions, if not just to win elections in 2027?
Exactly.
You know, Trevor, I can tell you for a fact that the coalitions that we're talking about did not start yesterday. That's a fact. And you know, I'm a little bit disappointed on how Ekuru has taken a purge on ODM.
ODM, yes.
No, I'm not pained by the criticism. I'm a student of Raila Amolo Odinga, who was the biggest critique. The only difference between him and you is that he will be a constructive critique that will give to things, and then there's negative critique. For instance, if Ekuru thinks that the place of ODM party, the reason why ODM was formed, is to be in opposition, what classical philosophers will call be a gadfly in the society on a permanent basis, that your work is just to be in opposition politics, then I think that is fallacious, because the truth is that political parties, including his, called Third Way Alliance, which I assisted him to register because he had a dream. I met him when he was still doing something called, I was very tiny, I was very young, but I met Ekuru when Ekuru was doing something called the G47, which then had to grow into Third Way Alliance. The dream was to be able to form government and give the best services that are effective and efficient that can impact the life of Kenyans, which is the dream of any political party. Whether today you are in opposition or not, the dream of building a political party is to be able to eventually form government, because government by design is a table where decisions about resources are made on who gets what, why, when, how, and where. Right? That's what government is all about. It's all about being able to use the meager resources of a country to be able to have equitable development for everyone. And you want to have the right people who have got public interest at art and people's interest at art on that table, dividing those resources. So the reason for forming a political party cannot be and will never be the issue of you are formed to be an opposition party for perpetuity. That's one. Number two, Ekuru is a constitutional mind. But I don't know what is catching up with him, whether it is age or something. But he seems to forget how things have changed in the country. There is no longer opposition in the country because of the constitution that he wrote. I did not write this constitution. He is the author of the constitution. When we had the colonial constitution and the Kanu constitution, it used to be that we would have the runners up to an election. In an election, because of the structure of that constitution, becomes the opposition party. And I think it's still snoozing on the arrangement that used to be there. Now, in this particular arrangement, the way I understand it is, I don't know whether the constitution, maybe you can teach me, but the way I understand this current constitution is that we are a presidential system, which means that there is then established a minority and a majority in parliament. Both minority and a majority in parliament does not give one a status of opposition or otherwise. What is there is that the constitution that they wrote, which I appreciate, strengthened the independence of parliament as an institution. Whether minority or majority, it is responsibility of the House of the People to keep the executive at check.
But are they?
Okay, I think some are. Okay, because that's a challenge. That's a challenge that we've had. Yeah. I sit in the Senate. My work has always been to be able to protect devolution. We do that very well. In my view, we do our part in terms of protecting the legis that we are seeing in county government. Yesterday, I had I think I had 5 meetings yesterday. If you're following them, audit meetings, probing all the audit queries in 5 counties yesterday. Today I've got a number of counties appearing before me, and we keep these counties at check. And that should be, National Assembly should predominantly be also be doing the same with national government. So that opposition politics, that there's a place called opposition, that now ODM must be a default in, is a space that should be occupied by Parliament in general, keeping the government in check, and civil society still doing their thing, as well as other political parties that are outside here doing the same. Kuro himself has got a political party, and that political party, despite the fact that it's a one-man guitar, should not be quiet when he's seeing anything that is going wrong, that, oh, let me just be quiet because that's a place for ODM. If ODM is quiet, let me be quiet. If you feel that ODM is quiet. No. If you feel, because I don't think that ODM is necessarily quiet. Yeah. So there is nothing like that in the opposition. But that said, I still think that the issue of coalition building, okay, is an issue that, for instance, the one that we are in right now, is necessitated sometimes by the history of the day. And that's why I'm saying that Ekuru is still snoozing. Okay. In the sense that you want to cut the conversation about ODM and UDA relationship into the conversation about 2027 election without looking at where did this relationship come from. Okay. The relationship came from...
Let him finish. And I have to take a quick break.
Let me just finish this. Yeah. This is the last that I'm pursuing, then I can give Ekuru to talk. You know, it is a reality, and Kenyans know. Yeah. That the situation that ODM find itself in, to be in a relationship, right? Let me use a relationship, or a cooperation with the UDA, was a very unique situation in our country. It was a situation where we were in a brink of collapse after the Gen Z protest. And the country needed an environment of steady engagement and stability so that, one, you could save the democratic state. Because it is not something that I'm lying about. It is something that we saw that it is a point where the soldiers, the army, was already on the streets of our country. And therefore, we make a serious decision to save the democratic state. And number 2, to make sure that there's protection of life, given what was occurring at that time. This is what was the genesis of this relationship that led to what we call the 10-point agenda, for which us in ODM, we have been very, very consistent in terms of pursuing that 10-point agenda. And that agenda was to deal with the excesses that led us to what brought out the Gen Z protest. And we are still pursuing this. Some of them are difficult to attain because of a number of things. For instance, if you think about the issue of compensation of young people who have been killed in this country in a number of protests. If you think about the protests in 2017, the protests in 2022, and then also even culminating into the protest by Gen Zs. If you look at all those protests, people have died in them. When it was brought that people should be compensated, there was a legal question that came about that takes its own time and nature that makes some of these agenda points difficult to implement. But that doesn't mean that they're not being pursued. Okay. And it is the spirit of those pursuants to those ideals around those 10-point agenda that then you find yourself in a biological clock or a chronological clock of election must be done next year. So then it means that you must have some conversations to improve on these issues and make sure that you can attain the maximum you can before an election comes. All right. So that's the content that I didn't want to...
I'll come to you. I'll come to you just right after the break. Let me take a quick commercial break. We're back with that conversation in just a bit. It's just the two of you, so you have plenty of time. I'll see you in just a short while. And keep the views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Daybreak. We'll see you in just a short while. Talking about the building of the coalitions, what is the agenda really behind these coalitions? Is it about the people? or just political survival, like Ekuru says? That's a conversation we're having, and we'll see you in just a bit.